Hey, I want to welcome in some frequent guests to the program. In fact, we have a new title.
We do.
We have a new title
Yes,
for
we do.
one of our guests.
Is he the official?
No, he's not the official. Well, welcome back, Dr. John Edeen with Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership. And Dr. John is the chief surgeon of Arms Room Radio. Yeah, he's the chief
surgeon and bottle washer. Because cleanliness is next to
Well,
godliness.
I want those bottles clean before you put them inside me.
Ouch.
And then we also...
surgeon. It's okay. He's a doctor.
He's our surgeon.
He's our... It's okay. It's our surgeon. We also have joining us... from Doctors from Responsible Gun Ownership, we have a colleague of Dr. John's. We have Dr. Robert Young. Doctor, welcome to the program.
I'm very pleased to be here with you guys.
No, you're not. You're scared to death.
No, I am not shanghaied into this. This is shaping up to be a lot of fun.
Remember, he deals with real crazy people, not just people like you.
There's a difference.
I don't know.
Not much of one, but
He medicates them and we self-medicate.
I think I'm happy or disappointed. I'm not sure which that is.
You have
That's
what is it? You have like a Munchausen's of psychiatry or psychological problems. They're self-induced. You like to see and suffer from them, and no, actually, you make us suffer from them.
No,
I'm
he
a
doesn't
sociopath
suffer.
who's learned to mimic natural human behaviors in order to blend in. And I'm not taking any of the screening tests. I don't care any of the 5. I'm not taking them because what I don't know won't hurt me.
That's all right, because remember, I can just read your mind.
No. You know why you can't read my mind?
He brought his
Because I don't
reading
think
glasses.
clearly enough, and so my thoughts are all muddled.
There you go. There you
That's
have
exactly why you can't
All right,
read
we're
my
done now. That's as good as it's going to
So
get.
much for that segment.
That's right.
it. And if you need legal advice, please give him a call at
407-467-4960. That's my cell phone. And since I never sleep, call me anytime.
no matter what.
MaxwellOrlando.com.
No matter what the mental illness, he's always sharp as a tack when it comes to the law. See how he came back right there for the phone number, right there, ready to go. So.
Oh no, I'm crazy about protecting my clients.
Absolutely.
And you know what? Opposing counsels think I'm crazy about protecting my clients too.
That's true.
That's good crazy.
That is good.
And
Crazy.
you have that on good authority here.
Doctor.
Doctor.
I knew that was coming.
We talked to you. We had you on a couple of weeks ago. We only got to talk briefly about the Hearing Protection Act and the research that Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership had done. I wanted to give you more time, more opportunity now that we're here at the NRA show together, and a bunch of like-minded people walking around the program here, and to go into this with us and tell us more about how it is that you guys, the Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership and a lot of the medical industry has been supportive of the Hearing Protection Act.
Right. Well, we did a position paper. We did a position paper a month ago. About a month ago. That's on our website, DRGO.us, in favor of the Hearing Protection Act based on the scientific literature, not based on conjecture or feelings or whatever other kind of crap the other guys put out.
Yeah.
We actually put out scientific evidence with references, 17 references to be exact. It's put together by ear, nose, and throat surgeons who are experts in the ear, nose, and throat and hearing. 2 of them which are neuro-otologists, which are people that deal with nerve-related injury to the ear. And so this stuff is scientific, not just, baloney.
Yeah, liberal fake news.
Yeah, exactly. This is real news, not fake news.
Right.
And what we found, looking back at the literature, we know that noise-induced hearing loss is a real entity, and that if you're exposed to noise greater than 140 decibels, that will cause immediate, permanent hearing loss. And if you're exposed to lower levels over a period of time, that can also cause hearing loss. And it goes into the hair cells in the inner ear and the nerve cells that are damaged and destroyed. When you have tinnitus, which is that ringing in your ear, that's your nerve cells crying in pain. Okay, that's really what that is, and that's their death song.
So for the, and if I'm trying to say it the way you said it, tinnitus. I've always called it tinnitus.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
so when I have
ringing in your ear.
When it just comes and goes every once in a while. That's
those are those nerve cells that are crying.
Okay. All right. Now listen. I mean, I've just, as age and with shooting in the military and law enforcement, it's just gotten there to where, when it's not there, I kind of miss it. Because otherwise it's it's
kind of
horrible.
get used to it
exactly.
after a while.
I would like to add that I've read that position paper thoroughly. I actually checked the references, and I am prepared, as an attorney admitted to federal court, that I would argue that would be submittable to a jury under a Dalbert test, to whether you could prove that is not in fact junk science. It's actually authenticated.
That's great.
Yep.
Well, there we go. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so
And
when you're ready, if you want to argue with the doctors and tell them they're wrong, I'm going to show up, and you're not going to have a good day.
Terrific.
Yeah, and Rob actually was the one that edited this paper, so he was involved very much in the production of this position.
So I'm fact
paper.
checking him.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly right.
Yeah, that's okay because I fact checked it before.
So
Well, that
the-
made it
we
easier
take
for
this
me not
very-
to find
yeah.
a mistake.
And we take this very seriously, and when we put something out, it's thoroughly researched and thoroughly vetted. We want to make sure that we're putting out good information, and that's what our organization does in a lot of areas. Going back to the hearing protection, we know that this happens in a lot of people in just the normal population.
It can happen the first time they hear a gunshot.
Exactly, and one of the reasons why suppressors are preferable is because not only do they protect the shooter's hearing, but they protect people who are in the area's hearing. And so the other thing is that the blast wave itself is actually probably 10,000 times more, has more strength than the actual noise that your hearing has.
The percussion wave.
Exactly. So,
Right.
and as we said it before, if you've been standing next to a guy shooting a .44 Magnum or 357, you feel the concussion. That's what we're talking about. That wave of pressure, that pressure wave, is actually transmitted better than the sound itself, and that's what causes more of the hearing loss. Well, a suppressor, what it does is it decreases that blast wave by going through all those baffles and reduces the velocity of the gases coming out of the firearm, and that's why we get hearing protection from it. And so that's why it's better, and you get about 20 to 30 decibels of decrease in the noise with a suppressor.
We're facing a break here in a couple seconds. We're going to have the doctors here back with us the next segment. Earl brought out earlier the Hollywood suppressor versus the real life suppressor. Yep. So we'll cover a bunch of that for us, and that's the reasoning behind a lot of this is that you see resistance to it is because people think, oh well, you're going to become some sort of silent suppressed assassin, and that's just not the way it works. All right, you're listening to Arms Room Radio, coming to you live from the Mobile Kel-Tec Studios at the 146th National Rifle Association Meetings and Exhibition. Welcome back to Arms Room Radio. We're coming to you live from the Kel-Tec Studios, the mobile Kel-Tec Studios, at the 146th Annual Meetings and Exhibitions of the National Rifle Association.
Wow, 2 in a row.
Yeah, I know. I figured I might as well read it. So I try to make it up every time.
In front of you.
So
Don't lie. You didn't read that. You had to memorize it.
I memorized
saying it right.
that I had to read it, and then I read it, and I read it right.
You can read.
Heck, well, I
Sort of.
got learned a little bit, so it works out. Hey, we are joined again by Dr. John Edeen and Dr. Robert Young from Doctors for Responsible Gun Ownership. We were discussing Hearing Protection Act on the national level and why this is good. We talked about how obviously the hearing damage that occurs from the loud noises, and we used some decibels, and we talked about those numbers. And I wanted to get into what actually those numbers were. Obviously we know 140 is damaging, but what causes a 140? What causes a sustainable 70? What causes a cumulative 110? And how the suppressors actually can reduce that a little bit. And Earl, I think Earl will jump in there at that point and tell us about how suppressors work. Okay. And how they work in the movies.
That's sound effects.
Yeah.
That's always quick and easy.
Right. Well, most of us know what a jackhammer sounds like. And if you're within 10 feet of a jackhammer, it's exceeding 110 decibels, more like 120 to 130.
Okay.
That is theoretically tolerable for a few minutes, but I don't know of any of us who want to stand next to a jackhammer within 10 feet for more than a few seconds. So start there.
Yeah.
A 22 round, unsuppressed, comes in just below 140, somewhere in the 130s too.
Okay.
So most of us have shot that and have heard it shot and didn't find it too uncomfortable. That is the only round that can be fired from a firearm that does not exceed 140. So
Okay.
anything else we shoot, every time we shoot it, damages our hearing permanently from there on up.
99% of everything we shoot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
And a 308, which happens to be one of the specific examples we have, 180 decibels.
Wow.
Even a 9mm, 170. Lots of
Okay.
9mm shooting out there.
Yes, there are.
So these are dangers. These are all very dangerous. Now, you can do one of two things. You can muffle the noise to your own ears. You can use earplugs and or earmuffs. Best to use them both. The result of that is threefold. It does drop the decibel level your ears are experiencing to a tolerable level. It also keeps you from communicating to anybody in the vicinity.
Right.
That can be a danger when you're shooting.
Yeah.
And it does nothing to preserve the hearing of anyone in the vicinity who is not prepared with their own protection.
Right. The jackhammer cumulative, or the 22 round that's below the 140. How much cumulative are we talking? Are we talking, like you said, 10 minutes? But is that 10 minutes now? Is that is it 10 minutes over the next year?
No, it's 15 minutes in a row.
Okay. So like industrial kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Would be high up there.
And these numbers very much come from OSHA research.
Okay.
Which has a vested interest in trying to protect people from health issues on the job.
Now, Dr. John, you were a doctor in the Navy. You were on them big ships. What's that? It's low level.
Right, and that's the same thing. And we, of course, as I said before, we had a hearing protection program on the ship, and I was in charge of that. And we had one of my technicians monitored that program, and he made sure everybody had the hearing. We all were issued hearing protection when we stepped on board the ship. The guys working out on the flight deck had secondary hearing protection.
Right.
They had over ear muffs, but we all got the tri-flange rubber earplugs.
Yeah.
I mean, you were all anybody in the military is familiar with those. And so that cumulative effect, and we did hearing testing on an annual basis. When everybody had a physical, you got a hearing test.
Yep.
And so this is a hearing monitor. And I talked with a guy at the Gemtech booth today, and he says, yeah, the military pays me every month for my hearing loss from the time that he spent in the sand.
Yeah,
exactly. Same thing when I was in the Air Force. Anybody assigned to the flight line, we're working around the jets and the APU carts and things like that. We had to have that annual hearing check.
Yeah, and the thing is, what's more expensive, buying a suppressor or paying a guy for the rest of his life for his hearing loss? So think about that. Fortunately, I think our government is getting smart, and they're issuing Marine suppressors now. And so I think that's going to, hopefully that will be part of a ongoing process throughout the entire military.
Yeah, I think John's point about the Marines is really pulls together a lot of this. Because if you're a Marine on the line in a squad all firing at once, none of you are hearing for a few minutes.
Right.
And what does that do to your cohesion as a unit? What does that do to paying attention to noises out there that you might want to know about?
You're right.
Bad news for our fighting men and women of all kinds, anyone going into combat.
When we deployed overseas, we didn't get any hearing protection. I think there might have been some squeezies, the little
foamies.
Little foamies, little squeezies that you got, because at some point in it was about the time that the Army lost their camouflage uniforms and we went to the ACUs. I really think the reason we didn't wear the little pocket sized hearing aid protector, the insert protector that was the hearing protection, was because it used to hang on the button on the pocket.
And they had orange and green and nice colors that would show up very nicely.
Right.
as a contrasting target.
Right, and those colors for them were based on the size of your ear canal.
Yeah. I wore green ones. I remember that.
I don't remember. honestly,
the orange ones were bigger. I remember that.
I remember they didn't work for me, and I always put the squeezies in there. But the Army got rid of those. They stopped wearing them about the time we went to ACUs because the hearing protection case was designed to hang from a button. Well, in the new ACUs, there were no buttons. It was Velcro.
Yep.
So all at once, the entire Army had no longer had any concern with hearing protection because there was no place to wear it on a uniform anymore.
Yeah. And guys are suffering because of that.
Yeah.
In fact, it says here that the hearing loss is the largest disability amongst veterans. So noise-induced hearing loss.
One of the criteria for post-traumatic stress disorder is tinnitus.
Yeah.
It breaks your concentration, keeps you from able to do anything, and it will literally drive you crazy.
It's part of it. It's definitely, it's for sure. I know, like I said, all kidding around aside, I have the tinnitus, and when it's not there, that's when I get concerned. I'm like, oh, there's nothing there now. I mean, if I entered some sort of the vacuum of space, because I can't hear anything. Definitely have a little bit from cumulative actions, or we've all been there. We've all done the out at the range, and you put the earphone to the side so you can hear what your buddy's saying, and then you lean back down on the rifle and you pull the trigger and you realize, ow, I forgot to pull that back.
Or your stock bumps the thing up.
Yeah.
And you don't, you're not aware of it.
Just enough breaking the seal. But I've definitely gone to two. I go to the squeezies underneath the over-ear protection.
Yep.
Yeah, let's not forget these measurements that we were discussing with the numbers you asked for. These were measured 10 feet away.
Yeah.
Your ear is within a couple of inches.
Oh, absolutely.
At most.
Yeah.
Of the shot blast and noise.
Yep.
Right.
And what should we do with this
Right.
paper?
Right.
Okay. This is what we need to do with it. First of all, you need to read it and understand it.
Yeah.
But then what you can do when you go to DRGO, you can take that file and you can send a letter to your U.S. congressman and your U.S. senator saying, we want you to take a look at this information and we want the Hearing Protection Act passed. And I've done that personally myself with my own representatives. Fortunately, Ted Cruz, I think, read it because he just signed on.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the program. It's always a pleasure to have you back on. Now that we have our chief surgeon of the program, we'll expect you to be here a little more regularly. We have some on-call shifts we're going to need you to cover.
I get this thing going on my
every
shoulder
third night for me on call. Thank you very much.
Folks, that's going to wrap it up for us here at the 146th annual meetings at the National Rifle Association. Please check out all our guests. We want to thank them all for on here. Check out Dr. John Edeen, Dr. Robert Young. It's on drgo.us. You can take a look at that, drgo.us.